Kizer just released 4 new knives, 2 fixed blades and 2 folding knives. And we're going to do a brief overview and unboxing to talk about whether there's something you might want to consider. Let's go ahead and get started. Now the first knife we're going to talk about is going to be the Sheepdog. Now the Sheepdog is a knife that's been well reviewed already, but this new variety comes in a different packaging first and foremost. So they've started to include these like dividers that give you access to a bunch of different pockets. I think this is a really good strategy for them because it makes the packaging more useful and it makes you think of Kizer each time. So very cool, and it comes with a patch as well. Now the knife itself, it's exactly what you would expect. It's a Sheepdog 154 cm. The thing that makes this knife so good and why it's so popular is the very tall flat grind on this. It's incredibly slicey, and because of the handle, which is very, very ergonomic, you can actually kind of use the full edge and kind of roll cut with it when you need to. I actually like the shape quite a bit and is a very, very popular knife. It has a cutout. It has great detent for both thumb flick and reverse flick. In fact, this one actually has a stronger detent than I remember the past generations. Pretty standardized as far as that's concerned. I'm not going to spend too long on this knife because if you like the Sheepdog, this is another great option. And if I remember correctly, it's pretty reasonably priced as well. I'll put a listing for it so you can take a look. But the micarta they chose is really good. It has inset steel liners, so you don't get any sort of flexing in the handle, which is good because micarta is not that rigid. And there's not much more to say. It's just a nice variation of the Sheepdog. I guess we'll move on and take a look at some of the other offerings they have as well. All right, so the next knife is going to be the Huldra. Now this is S35VN with titanium handles with a 3.19-inch blade. Let's take a look. So also in the box, they always include spare hardware and a bunch of stickers, which is always appreciated, most of the hardware. Black wash tie. Pretty much the entire thing matching here. Very, very cool. Well, that's an unusual, very unusual pocket clip. If that's milled titanium, that's incredibly thin. They've milled it. Is it? Could very well be. I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more research, but that's a very cool clip. Look at how deep carry that is. That is like the whole knife completely disappears in the pocket. All right, reverse flick. A little light on the detent if I'm doing it down here. Perfectly fine if you're doing it at the hole spot. Flicks with the thumb, no problem. Front flipper. Great action. Now this is where things go wrong. Is it going to crash into my finger? Nope. Don't feel anything. Nope. Nope. They've done a good job here. So what happens a lot of times when you combine the two is you start to pull this back and then the front flipper comes and hits your finger. I don't feel that here. They've done a really good job with the shape and the spacing of everything. So well done here. Very futuristic in design. It has a Gotham City kind of feel to it. Not necessarily a Batman, but very close to it, if not. And I'm okay with that. It's definitely something that I am personally a fan of. I like the little cutouts for flavor on it as well. There's plenty of lock bar access. The action is good, and well, I guess that's one thing that's a downside. So one thing I will say is when you have your thumb here, I shouldn't be coming in contact with the blade. I should be coming in contact with the choil here. So instead, the blade's actually coming down and touching my nail. That's not ideal, but unlike, I can't remember what model that was, the Beyond or something like that, I don't feel like it's coming down so fast that I can't control it. And I think it's because I'm hitting the front flipper kind of comes and I can somewhat touch that. The back flipper, you kind of feel it slow down so I can move my finger out of the way. It's still something you're going to want to be made aware of. The action is very good, so when it falls, you're still going to come in contact with that blade. Just be aware. Something to point out with this knife, and not really something on Kizer. That's the way it was designed. there you go. That's what I think about this. I wish that people would think about the combination of having a really good action and the ability of the blade to come down. Kizer makes very, very good, very drop shut knives. So when you don't have the sharpening choil in the correct position, you run into that issue. But if you can see, in order to accommodate having so many opening mechanisms, they had to space it out in such a way, right? Like it just unfortunately is trying to pack a lot into a single knife. And I think that was one of the few things that slipped out. So there you go. That's my thoughts on this knife. So the next knife we're going to talk about is the Smolt. It's a 6.5-inch fixed blade by Jonathan Stiles with CPM 3V and micarta with G10. So I love the materials for this, first of all. Micarta is an excellent material, and they've actually used the G10 as sort of like a structure for it, which is pretty different for sure. Thankfully, it is just long enough I can get a full 4-finger grip on it. Oh, I like that. Very much like that. Now, the cool thing about having a coated 3V blade is the 3V isn't completely stainless, but it has a very, very, very high performance. So very high on toughness, excellent edge retention. So it actually makes a ton of sense to cover the steel of this, not just because of the blade. The blade concerns me less than having the exposed 3V tang, because that is like between the handle scales and the steel is where you're likely to get weird spotting over time if you ever do go into a water environment. So this is actually going to prevent that from being a problem. So I like the combination quite a bit, and this is the one I would prefer. Very comfortable in hand, a very neutral grip, so be able to do it in a bunch of different orientations, no problem whatsoever. And I like the size of it. With just the ability to hit a full 4-finger grip, that's about right. The thing I'm going to state, and it's my qualms with just so many companies, not just Kizer, so I don't want to feel like it's just picking on them. They include a nice Kydex sheath, and this is actually a good Kydex sheath, and then they put this terrible clip on it. And the reason it's terrible is that when you have a small fixed blade, I have never seen anyone carry a small fixed blade with a Tech-Lock style attachment. It is the most inconvenient possible way to carry a small fixed blade, because what you're doing is you're emphasizing the handle, which you're now going to bang into with your hip or the side of your body every single time you're moving around, you're getting in a car, whatever. A ulti-clip style in-pocket clip would have been better. You could also, when you have that type of clip, you can reverse it and you can put it in the waistband. You can go underneath between the belt and your pants, so you can do it at an angle in a lot of cases, which will also be more comfortable. They could have even gone with a true crossbody style draw, or a scout carry, either one. This is like the least comfortable, because what happens is look at how much stands proud above your belt. I know this is the general problem with fixed blades. You can't appease everyone, but I wish they would at very minimum include a metal clip, which are not that expensive, to work as an in-pocket sheath. A lot of companies do this. They include 2 different forms of attachment, and I think it would behoove them, since they include spare hardware in the folding knives, to include a spare clip that changes the orientation for the fixed blades, especially something this nice. I really like the design of this knife. It's very simple, very clean, and 3V is a great choice for blade steel. Nothing like overly done here, just a good EDC fixed blade with a nice slim handle, but still incredibly comfortable. And that micarta, you definitely can feel the difference between the smooth G10 and the slightly rougher micarta, and I like that they even increased the texturing by doing some cut-ins as well. Yeah, no, I'm really a big fan of this. So this might be a knife that I carry and actually use, but I'm going to have to take this off. I'll probably put an ulti clip on it and work it in pocket, and it's going to work great. I have no doubts that it's going to work really well. I also like that This portion extends beyond in the handle itself. You're not going to be changing out these handle scales, and that's actually going to offer slightly deeper carry, and it feels very secure. So I have plenty of push off right here, and I don't really have to move my hands. You notice that like I still have this ramp. I can grab here and I'm already in the right position. Yeah, I like this. I like the Kydex. I don't like the clip. Other than that, it's a great choice. I think it would be a great fixed blade in general for a lot of different people. Enough said, let's move on. Next up, we have the Deckhand, and this is by Tyler Barnes. It is D2 blade steel, G10, and micarta. Okay, interesting. So let's take a look and see what we have here. Now, first of all, the first thing I notice is, thank you, that's a much, much, much better clip than the one we've talked about thus far. The only issue I have with it is, this is definitely for the outside of the belt, where this clip can't be reversed, so I can't wear this in pocket. Even though with the bent metal, I should be able to kind of have it hold on to my pocket. Unfortunately, I'm still gonna need a second clip for that to function. However, my guess is this is a very budget-oriented fixed blade. I haven't looked it up yet, but I'm guessing it's probably quite budget-friendly. A sheep's foot blade shape on this D2. I think this is another example where they would have, well, maybe they do have a variation of it that's coated, but I think a D2 blade absolutely would do better with a coating because it's not very stainless, especially where the micarta meets the metal. That's the kind of places where you're going to start getting issues, like right in there on where the metal meets the micarta on the inside, next to the lanyard spot. Unless this has been glued on. I don't know if it's been glued on or not, but I think that's one area. Now, as far as comfort is concerned, this feels great. This is a great handle, like a really nice handle, and the jimping is great as well. I also like that there's a lot of space for sharpening on this knife. So it's not a big knife by any stretch. It's gonna be a great utility knife for draw cutting mostly, but because it's such a tall grind, I mean, I could definitely use this for food prep and a bunch of other tasks. I don't really have a lot to critique when it comes to the knife itself. They've done a good job. It is a little bit thicker behind the edge than some knives, but if it's for utility tasks, that might make a lot of sense. Now, as far as the sheath is concerned, which is very important, I wish there was a little bit more ramp here, but when you have a taco style sheath where they fold over, that's sometimes hard to do. And in many cases, they have even less of a space to press than that. So I'm okay with it. It is what it is. That's still pretty decent. What else? I mean, the sheath itself I like. You could definitely use this as a potential neck knife, but it would have been better had this opening been positioned in line with the other one. So basically moving it here and moving this down slightly. That way you actually have an even connection, but it might not matter. It honestly might not matter. I think you could probably still use it just fine as a neck knife. And yeah, some people will carry it like that. But it's a budget offering from Kizer. And the thing they have done really well here is using the right grippy micarta. It feels like it has some real bite to it. You're not going to feel like you're slipping around as much. Yeah, I like that a lot. They didn't make it smooth or polished. And it'll only look better with time. You'll start to get a patina on this thing, which is really cool. So I like the knife. Once again, the clip here is a big improvement over the last one. It just, unfortunately, it doesn't reverse, so you can't use all the different carry options that you otherwise would be able to with something like an ulti clip or some of the other in-pocket clips that are just a little bit more universal. That's my only critique with the knife. Otherwise, I think it's really great. And having a good Kydex sheath makes all the difference. You really want to make sure at least that part is great. And both of the fixed blades we talked about have exactly that. And there you have it. 4 more from Kizer knives. I think probably my favorite of the bunch is the Kizer Sheepdog, but that's not a surprise. It's a fantastic knife and has been around for a long time. I think second place has to take the cake with this fixed blade. CPM 3V, coated blade, micarta inlays. Yeah, just really awesome. And plenty of different attachment points. So you can definitely, if you have your own clip, kind of set this up any way you want. not much more to say. Let me know which is your favorite down below. As always, thank you for your time, and we'll talk again soon.